So today I'm going to be talking about scales of balance, and this is talking about the emotions that we toggle between most of the time. Certain emotions and feelings that we fall into when we're triggered, little traps that we need to create some conscious awareness around in correlation with the planets and the personal planets. And when we connect the two together, it creates a lot more clarity as to what's really going on within our own selves that is reflected out into our life experience. So I want to encourage you before we move forward to subscribe to the channel, like the video, turn on your notifications, and know that your support on my channel really does help my channel to grow. And in its growth, I'm able to reach more people who are in need of some clarity and healing within their lives. Balance is a controlled and aligned state of flow. It's represented symbolically by the scales that go up and down depending on each moment. There's an ebb and flow. And our emotions are always in this constant flux of flow. And depending on circumstance, situation, trigger points, certain people, we start to trigger and feel emotion. And it makes us feel a certain way. Oftentimes, if it's not good, we suppress it, avoid it, deny it, and suck it up. We put on our coping mechanism, prideful mask that we've been doing for years, and we just avoid. And this creates a complete imbalance in the scales and goes completely against the healing process of being conscious of what we need to face. And so I know myself as a Libra rising, a Libra Mars and a Libra Pluto, balance is huge for me. And Libras aren't balanced already. Libras are seeking balance in their life. They're constantly trying to create that sense of balance because there's a feeling of imbalance within them. Of course, this depends on your own natal chart and your placements and the aspects, but generally, it's about trying to find ways to create that balance. And the more educated we are on the emotions that we're feeling, and where we tend to toggle between most of the time, our greater opportunity to move past it and rise up to higher levels of human consciousness. I discovered the levels of human consciousness from Dr. David R. Hawkins, and he did extensive studies and research on the levels of human consciousness and correlates a vibrational energy for each one. And the lowest level is shame. The highest level is enlightenment. In my work, I talk about the level of acceptance. I don't really go above and beyond that. I mean, that's your choice to continue in your journey of healing, to rise above it. But when we're at a level of acceptance, there is this stabilizing energy, and we no longer fall into the really hard levels of emotion that are within shame, grief, guilt. We still may feel some fear, we still may feel some anger, some irritability. We still have our desires, hopefully like healing to create healthy desires and not unhealthy desires. That is a trap to falling down as well. But there is a toggle. And so when we reach a level of acceptance, we're able to toggle into healthier areas of human consciousness. Pride and courage are like so important points to understand in the human consciousness. Pride is where it's represented and connected with the sun. I would correlate it with the sun as in conscious doings, right? We consciously put on our pretty smile and go out and face our day when inside we might be just dying inside. This is a prideful mask that we put on, and people aren't seeing your true emotions. You're hiding it, you're avoiding it, you're putting it away so you can cope and live your day-to-day life. which is fine because we don't want to put all our baggage out there onto other people, as long as you are facing it when you go back home and you pick up your baggage again. And so pride puts that mask. It's that mask that we put on, and it's masking the lower levels of human consciousness. And if we aren't careful, we could be suppressing those emotions and just living by that mask. Now, courage is one level of human consciousness above pride. And courage is really where you're like knocking on that door, where you're like, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to be active in conscious healing. And what does that mean? That just means that you are ready to consciously face your own bullshit, realizing that it's not outside sources, it's not other people that are the problem. They are a reflection of what is stemming from within. And it's a hard hit to the ego, it's a hard hit to the pride, but it's a hit that needs to be done in order to break through that mask and have the courage to actually keep moving forward and say, okay, I know this is my wrong, this is where I'm failing, this is what is holding me back. One step at a time, one thing at a time, I'm going to work through it. And just making that choice, that courageous and brave step to actually face it. And if you need to break down, you break down. If you need to cry, cry, scream, scream. You do what you need to do, because in those moments, light bulbs start to click and you start to see things from a different perspective. And that's when things start to shed away and peel away and dissolve. And so when we take a look at the levels of human consciousness, they really are different emotions. And emotions can range from pure joy and excitement to depression and shame. There's a huge range when we talk about emotion. And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, we all have emotions. We all should be expressive and be willing to face the true emotions that are holding us back. Your moon is connected with your emotions, and the sun is connected with the level of pride. It's that mask that you're putting on. You are consciously putting on a persona in order to hide the emotions, moon content that is hiding beneath it. It is the unconscious, the moon, and the sun is the conscious. And so when we break down that pride and we're willing to take the time to face the unconscious, we bring light to it. The sun can now shine on it and work together. The luminaries can now work together in your healing of conscious healing. So the level of courage is correlated with Mars. Mars is all about bravery, courage, action, just moving. Mars doesn't think first, Mars just acts. And when we understand that and we look to our charts to see where Mars is, what zodiac sign is it, what aspects is it making, do you have a really challenging Mars, or do you have a great relationship with Mars? Mars is that courage that you need to face your shit. And it's hard. It's not easy. I won't sugarcoat it. It requires active and conscious healing in order to break through old patterns and belief systems that just are not working for you. And Mars is going to be your best friend through this. If you use Mars in the right way, you use the benefits of Mars, because Mars can get out of control and pull you down into that anger, into that resentment, which is below pride. But Mars can also have you walk through that door of courage and have the bravery to move forward. When we talk about Venus and Venus's connection with the human consciousness and the emotions, Venus is closely knit with the moon, because initially when we have situations with people, circumstances, there's a trigger point that will have the unwanted emotions to rise up, that you're like, nah, I don't want to deal with that, and you stuff it down. And after that emotion rises up, you feel something. You could feel hurt. You could feel overwhelmed. You could feel lower levels of shame. It creates this really vulnerable space when the feelings are then made known based on the emotions that rise. right? So this is the connection that Venus and the moon have together. So you can see how these personal planets are deeply embedded in each and every one of us. I really encourage you to look to your chart again and see where all these personal planets are. Where's your sun? Where's your moon? Where's your Mars? Where's your Venus? And what is the relationship that they have? If you're not understanding it, you can always book a reading with me and we can go through it. But it's good to take a look at your chart and just get a feel for what's going on. The last personal planet that I want to talk about in relation is Mercury. And Mercury steps in, I feel, as if a way and an incredible tool, the most powerful tool I think that we have in order to create the change. Because we're talking about conscious healing, and Mercury is of the mind. Mercury is of our consciousness. It's our day-to-day. It's the inner communication. It's the outer communication. It is the dialogue that we have. It is the way that we think. And the way that we think is immediately connected to your emotions, and then you're going to feel something. And then Mars will either pull you down into anger and irritability and frustration and resentment, or Mars will have you act in courage and bravery to say, okay, where am I going wrong? What do I need to fix? Let me face my own shit. So Mercury is a key player. Mercury also, because it's connected to consciousness and the mind and thinking, it just brings more power to the exercise of journaling, right? When you're journaling and you have these experiences and you're facing your emotions, and you're seeing the levels of human consciousness, and there's a toggle, right? To understand where you flow within that level. You can journal your experiences, and what that does is it even opens up your mind more. It expands your mind. It opens up your consciousness more. Your mind is expansive. Your mind is connected to spirit. Your mind is connected to a higher vibration. It's connected to your soul. And so when we do certain exercises like journaling and take the time to be brave enough to face our own shit with consciousness of the unconscious, and we write it down, we create space for new ideas, for new perspectives, for paradigm shifts. Meditation is another thing that is very, very key and powerful in the healing journey, and is connected with Mercury. Mercury, again, is of consciousness of the mind. And when we're talking about meditation, we're talking about decluttering the mind of all the shit that's going on there, all the thoughts, all the words, all the questions, all the ideas, all the what I have to do and what happened and how did that happen and what's going to happen, and all those things that just get mixed up in your mind and overwhelmed. We need to release it. And meditation gives you that ability to release it. And as you release it, you start to create space, peace, stillness, control, peace of mind, clarity, and room for you to consciously co-create with your life path, working with your planets, working with your energy, raising your vibration. It's just so incredibly powerful when you are able to remove all the garbage and create that space. So in understanding your emotions in correlation with the planets and in transit, it's important to look to the moon and see how the moon aspects certain planets within your chart, especially the personal planets. Is the moon making a connection with your sun and trying to create more consciousness for you, or with your Venus, so you can understand what's going on between emotion and feeling? Or maybe your moon is in connection with your Mars and triggering certain emotions that bring up a little bit of anger and irritability for you to see why is this coming up. As you do that, you can look to the houses to understand what topics of life that is happening for you, to get an even deeper understanding of what's going on within your emotional content. In aspect with the moon, you want to look for the unconscious habits and emotions, with the sun for your conscious pride. You want to look to Venus in regards to your feelings, and be mindful of the emotion that came first before you felt something. It's important to make those little tiny minute correlations. What was the feeling? What was the emotion that happened just before that? And what was the thought that happened first? Right? Thought, emotion, feeling. And then Mars is going to act in either way. Mars, of course, again, for your action, the emotional actions and reactions that we have. And then Mercury for your awareness, your conscious awareness, to your dialogue, your inner dialogue with your own self, your outer dialogue with people in your life. When I talk about aspects, it is the relationship between two planets. And there are 5 main aspects. There's many, but there's 5 main ones. And when we say trine, I want to say that's like a rejoicing feeling and emotion. You know, it feels good. Not a lot of growth because things just feel good. A sextile is where we create some acceptance. It's a very supporting energy. A square connection with 2 planets is where there's like a trigger point, and like it's challenging, it's hard, but that's where we get so much growth. An inconjunct is where planets in relationship aren't seeing each other, so there's this like irritability, like this itch that you can't scratch, irritability feeling. And then we have an opposition where the hard truth comes in, right? There's a polar opposite and it's facing a hard truth. But again, incredible growth. And so I hope you gain some value from this. And I hope you take the time to look into your chart and to see where your personal planets are. And more so, taking the time to actually face any unconscious emotions as they rise up. Always know that that feeling, that emotion, that breakdown is not going to last forever. It's momentary. But in that moment, in those moments, so much growth, so much awareness, so much greater consciousness can happen that contributes to your healing. So until next time.